Everybody, my name is Mr. Lupino, and this is another video for a different topic for today. Today we're going to talk about pesticides and how pesticides have affected the environment and living environment. So the objective today is students will be able to analyze the effects of specific human impact on ecosystems. So our review question for today is, what is the difference between renewable and non-renewable resources? So as a reminder, renewable resources is something that we can use over and over again. And non-renewable resource means something that we can use once, but then after that, it's not going to be there anymore. So for our Google Classroom, I'll be looking for your answer for the Do Now question. So the first thing we're going to ask ourselves is, what organisms can cause harm to humans? So if we were in school, I would ask this question, and then these are some responses that students would give. Pigeons, mosquitoes, rats, and disease-causing pathogens. So what do these things all have in common? Well, they all have the potential to carry disease. Mosquitoes, pigeons, rats, they can carry very deadly diseases such as the bubonic plague. Mosquitoes are very known for carrying malaria. Malaria is a very deadly disease, and we're going to look into mosquitoes today. So what have humans done to kill mosquitoes? Well, they've actually created what's known as pesticides. Pesticides is a word that we see on the regions all the time. Pesticides, as a definition, is a chemical used to kill insects. It is also harmful to plants and animals. You see, people sprayed pesticides to kill mosquitoes, but they weren't thinking about other species because the chemical actually hurts every organism in the ecosystem, and we're going to learn how that's possible today. So, a long time ago, people used the pesticide DDT, which stands for dichlorodiphenyl trichloroethane. This is the structure of the chemical. This is a picture of a bunch of people spraying the chemical on the field. Now, just look at this. Just look at what we see here. These people are purposefully spraying this harmful chemical on plants. But remember, this was back in a time period where people didn't really know any better. They thought that the chemical wouldn't affect plants or animals. So, the DDT did a great job killing mosquitoes, but at what cost? You see, it actually got on the food that farmers were growing. So, research showed that 60% of heavy cream samples had DDT, 42% of kale greens, 28% of carrots, and low-level percentages of other foods. So, these people, when they were spraying these chemicals, it actually got on a lot of the foods that they were eating. So this was directly affecting their own health. So there's also additional negative side effects. Now, this is something that they didn't realize until much later. So women exposed to DDT before puberty were 5 times more likely to develop breast cancer. If you remember what cancer is uncontrolled cell division. So if you remember from the mitosis unit, cells divide. But with cancer, cells don't stop dividing. They divide so much that it's an issue. Also, it was known that this country banned DDT. However, other countries still continue to use DDT because remember, what was DDT used for? It was for killing mosquitoes. And why did people kill mosquitoes? Well, mosquitoes carry malaria. That's why. So malaria is still killing lots of people, and so DDT is still being used today. And so it's being hotly debated, should we still use DDT at the cost of human and animal life? So this represents a food chain that we've looked at in the past. So what makes this food chain different is that we're going to look at the amount of chemicals that seep into different species. So basically, we're going to go through a series of steps here. So the first step we have here is DDT was sprayed on the lake to control mosquito larvae. So right off the bat, people are spraying chemicals on the lake. Well, who is that going to affect? Well, it's going to affect the plants that live in the lake. Okay, so it's going to affect the plants first. Then, who eats the plants? Who's our herbivores? Who's our primary consumer? Well, that's going to be our zooplankton. The zooplankton eat the plant plankton. Now remember, the DDT is sprayed, and now it has what? It has chemicals inside it. So if the zooplankton eats the plant plankton, will the zooplankton have chemicals inside it? The answer is yes. So the zooplankton will eat the plant plankton, and they're going to absorb some of the DDT from, that's the next one. Yep, so zooplankton is going to get several doses of DDT from the plant plankton. And as you can imagine, this is going to continue on and on. So now the small fish will eat the zooplankton that contains the DDT. So the small fish will eat it. Then the large fish eats the small fish, and they also have it. And then lastly, the eagle is going to eat it to the point where it's going to have the most amount of DDT. Why the most amount? Because as the food chain continues, more and more DDT is inside each organism. So the eagle is left last, unfortunately. So what are some disadvantages of pesticides? Well, as we can see from the previous slides, it's very useful for killing mosquitoes. This picture shows that it was so important that DDT was sprayed back then that they sprayed it everywhere using planes and hoses and everything. So as you can imagine, this got on animals, it got on plants, everything you can imagine. So, but the disadvantages, there's so many disadvantages. Yes, you kill mosquitoes, but on the other side of it, you cause cancer on all these different organisms. You're decreasing the food chain by killing animals. The DDT made eggshells thinner. So basically every eagle that was born, it was very, very rare for eagle babies to survive after birth because of DDT. And a recent research study showed that people with an Alzheimer's disease, which is a brain disorder, is linked to having DDT in the body. So it just shows that these harmful chemicals have long-lasting effects in people. So I also have a link to a YouTube video for today we're going to watch for the video of pesticides. So when you read over this PowerPoint a second time, after you write down your definitions, your vocabulary definitions, you're going to watch this video. This video is about should we or should we not use pesticides. Okay? So after we finish that, we have an article that you're going to read. This is an article on DDT, a brief history and status. So you're going to read this over. It talks about why we use DDT and what were the effects of using it. And then you're going to answer these 4 questions on a Google Doc form. First question is, DDT is a type of insect, a pesticide. What is a pesticide? Explain how DDT was harmful to humans and animals. Explain why we even use DDT in the first place. And then number 4, is DDT still being sprayed today? Which countries still use DDT? All right, so I'm really curious to see what you think about DDT, why we used it, and what are its negative effects. And I'm curious to see if you believe that we should be using DDT or not. It's a very interesting trade-off that we have to consider. So that's it for today. Thanks for checking in, and I look forward to your responses.